Hey, good morning. Good to see you all here again today. Boy, I got to change some things here. I got to mute this thing. This is all very new to us, and we are still figuring some of these technical things out here. So please bear with us. It's good to see you all here. You know, when I started this class, I had about 6 people that wanted to take it live here today. And I have a grand total of 0. So we're going to do this all online today. And we have people the whole way from California to Connecticut. And this is our first time doing it this broad of a scale for our customers. And so a lot of you are new to me. I'm Jay Stauffer. I'm the owner here at Stitch in Time. And I'm grateful for your time here today. We're not going to waste a lot of time getting into about who we are, but our goal is not just to sell people machines, but to help them learn how to use them as effectively as possible so that you get the best return on your investment that you've made with us. And so we do a lot of teaching here in our store, but we realize with the changing times and things, we're trying to do as much as online as possible now. So we're looking into doing this more in the future. And if there are certain types of projects and classes you'd like to see done with the scan and cut, the fabric was the biggest one that people were asking about. I would encourage you to leave a comment. I see we got more people coming in there. So Connecticut, hey, there we go. Texas, Utah, boy, we're getting them all over. So good to see you all here this morning. I want to go over a little bit about the packet. Again, I was a little bit disappointed in the Postal Service. I thought a week would be enough time to get them all to you. But I'm going to go over what's all in the packet here just a little bit. But we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But I'm so sorry that we did not get that little packet to you in time. It's not very material intensive. There's just about 6 pieces that are all cut out, and they're all done with Fusible web. And the reason I did that, I'm going to explain. I'm going to switch over to the other camera here. And I'm going to go and talk over there so that you can see. Actually, I'm just going to do it this way. So if you look at it, this is what all came in the kit. And for those of you who are still waiting for your kit, it will come here. Just give it a little bit of time. There is a big piece of fabric that we just sent along, and this is what you would actually fuse your Sunbonnet Sue to. Now, you don't have to put it onto it, but we thought we'd give you something that you could work with on it. We have the actual skirt. This is the fabric that we're using, and when you turn it over, it's very shiny. And the reason I wanted you to get a packet of fabric is because getting the fusible web onto the back of here in as clear and as firm as possible is something that is a problem I've noticed with people who try to do this with irons. And when you do it with an iron, you also oftentimes end up with little holes where the steam would come out that doesn't fuse properly. And so I used my heat press to do this. Now, you don't have to have a heat press, but it sure takes a lot of the problem out of it, because here's what happened. The very first time I did this, I went and used my iron and I fused it all down like a good boy I was supposed to. And then I went and put it on my mat. And when I pulled this away, it left half the fusible adhered to the mat, and it completely ruined my mat. And that was very discouraging to me, because I just ruined a $20 mat. I could not clean it off. And how can I prevent that from happening again in the future? And so the way I did that was by taking this and fusing it on with a heat press, where I get consistent pressure, consistent time. And those of you who have your kits, look at it, and you can see that it's very like a shiny backing to it. That's because it adhered so well to it. When you do this, you can use your standard mat. You know, this is just the standard purple mat, standard tack adhesive. You can use that. If you don't want to do fusible web, you can work that otherwise. You're going to have to use this product. And I don't know if you can see this here or not. This is called the high tack adhesive sheet. And it is, you know what? Let me put the English side up there. It is the high tack adhesive fabric support sheet. So what you would do is you would take one of these pieces out, and it's going to be shiny on one side and have paper on the other. And you're going to take the shiny side and you're going to stick it down to this mat, so it completely covers up this mat, and that's going to transform this permanently into a fabric sheet. So you can cut fabric on it, and then you don't have to do the fusible web. I would recommend using a starch like Terial Magic or something like that to make your fabric a little more firm. It'll cut cleaner. You'll have less ragged edges. Those are all things you can do there with it. The new mat, the fabric mat that is coming out, is basically this standard mat with this already on it. So it's not that you have to buy the new mat. However, it will make it a little bit better in the long run, that you don't have those bubbles that can sometimes get in between those two pieces. The adhesive I used on the fabric pieces I sent out is the Heat and Bond Light, and it's also made for sewing. And that's really important if you're going to use these projects with your embroidery machines. You will want to make sure that it's an adhesive that is sewable. Some of the Heat and Bond and other ones out there do not sew well. They'll actually gum up your needle, and you'll start having shredded threads and breaking threads, and you change your needle and you'll be really good for about another 60, 80 stitches, and then it'll do it again, and you're going to think that it was the machine's fault. Well, it's actually the adhesive we use. This is the adhesive that Brother sells. It's an iron-on applique contact sheet. It really works well, but the price is a little bit more, a little higher than what I like, and so I went and bought a whole bolt of Heat and Bond Light, and it works well for me. Some of you may have a different product that works well for you. So just to go over the pieces that were in the packet, we talked about the background fabric. Again, you can use whatever you want. We're going to have the skirt, which is, I believe, pink in this one. It's a little different colors than what we had on the sign-up page, because the fabric that we used for that back in March is no longer available. So we had, my daughter said, "Can I experiment?" And I said, "Yes, you may go ahead and you can play with it." There's a white sheet and this one's going to be a little harder to see. And then you're going to have two brown pieces. The two brown pieces are going to be, one's for the foot and the other is for the sleeve. You're going to have a yellow piece. This is going to be for the hand and the bonnet. And then you're going to have the little pink square that is going to be for the hat band. My daughter says, "No, you have to have something a little bit prettier than gray." So that's the way it is. All right. So I wanted to explain to you, if you're getting started at home, are there any of you that do not have the file that I downloaded for you on a USB stick yet? If you do not have a file on a USB stick, let me know in the comments. And I'm going to switch over here to my other camera that will allow us to, and I'm going to show you where it is on a lot of your machines. So some of you, I said it's on your machine. Some of them it is not. If you bought your machine from Amazon or online somewhere, those don't have as many of these quilting patterns built into it. So I'm going to switch over and show you on the machine where this design is to be found. And there's a whole bunch more of them in here. So this is the ScanNCut DX. You can also do it on the 550, the 650. They all have this pattern in there. Some of the smaller ones will as well. I have not sold those, so I don't have a good handle on those. To find the pattern, you would go down here to Pattern, and then you would scroll down until you see your quilting patterns. Now, this one actually has the Sunbonnet Sue right on the front page. Some of them may not, but you're going to look for the quilting patterns. And then when you scroll down here, there's a whole bunch of these other ones that are built in here. And you don't have to go do this today. I'm just going to kind of give you a little class here on what I did before I sent it to you. Let's see, does anyone have Anyone saying they do not have it? No one is saying they do not have the file. So now if you notice on this machine, this is this SDX 225, we have a whole bunch of Sunbonnet Sue and Sunbonnet Sam. I just used this one, and I changed the size to be 6 inches, 6 inches tall, approximately. And then I clicked OK. And then here's what you need to notice. It divides it all up by the different parts. What I sent you is this one right here. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But that's where the sizes are, and they're currently grouped. We're going to ungroup them because, see, now I can take these and I can move them about one at a time, and I can do other things with it. But we're not going to do that. I want us all to use the same file that I sent you this morning. So if you've been messing around with here, go back to your home screen. That's this little button right here. And it's going to say delete all patterns. It doesn't mean delete them from the machine. It's only going to delete them from your workspace. And we're going to go back here. We're going to go to retrieve data. Now, some of you on the older machines, you may have a little icon up on top of here. It's going to say the same thing. And you're going to go retrieve data. Some of you might have where it says load pattern. That is a different one as well. And then you're going to select the one that has the USB symbol. Some of you may have to scroll left or right here to get to it, but you want the one that has like the little USB stick and this little fork prong. And if you have that FCM file on the USB stick, you should see it there. Now, on mine, that was the older style. I did not have it labeled as Sunbonnet Sue. Mine is just U000001 FCM. And I renamed that in the email I sent out on Monday so that it would not look the same as something else that you might have already had in your machine. So go ahead and select that Sunbonnet Sue. I'm going to try and keep watching here. If I am going too fast, please speak up and say something. I anticipated having students here that be following along on the screen behind me and thus slowing me down if I get too carried away. But if you are able to follow along, great. But this is where I wanted you to know. So when I touched that button, it brought me to like a big preview page. And this is basically saying on your USB stick, you have this design. Now I can either click OK, or if I had a design I don't want anymore, I can hit the trash can. Now, if you hit the trash can right now, you're going to be going back quickly and trying to download that again and get it on here. We don't want to do that. I want to verify, yes, this is the Sunbonnet Sue, and I want to click OK. The reason this is important is sometimes you'll have a whole bunch of designs and there'll be little tiny pieces in here and you may not be able to see them back here. And so when you click on it, it gives you the full screen so you can see better what it is. And now we're going to click OK. This is where we start our editing a little bit to be able to position these things where we want them to be. I should also interject here that on the YouTube channel that you're looking at here, on the right-hand side, there is a whole bunch of comments. You can see them up there from Terry Jor. Good morning, Terry. Kiesmans, good morning. And if you want to make a comment, you need to type it in the right-hand side of that screen, not in the comments underneath of the video. So if you type them on the right side, then I can see them, and I can actually say, I can actually bring up here. So I'm going to just say, good morning from Wilmer, Minnesota. There we go. Good morning. And I can, then if you have a question, I can bring that up there and I can address that for us all. So keep that in mind as you're doing this so that I can make this as helpful for everyone as possible. Okay, so now you should be seeing the pattern here. And if you notice, there is, when I had it ungrouped when I sent to you, and I'm going to just touch this outer skirt here, and you see how I got a red box around it? That means I've selected it. I can now take that and drag that off to the side. I can take the apron and drag that off to the side. Here's the sleeve. Going to drag that off. Here's the tiny little hand. Now, some people don't even cut the hand out. That's up to you. This is the shoe. Here's the bonnet. And now and then you have the hat band. Excuse me, my pencil slipped. Now we have them all on here, but we want them cut out of different pieces. You could load fabric one at a time and cut each piece out one at a time, but I'm going to show you the quickest way to do this so that you can make the most of your time and the usage of your mat. So I'm going to switch back over here to the mat where we're working. And I have this upside down, so I'm going to try and make this work here. I have it so that it works best on the camera for you. So we had the question, couldn't you hit the ungroup button? Let's go back over there for just a real quick second here. The ungroup button, yes, you can hit the ungroup button, but this is not an ungroup button right here. This is a rearrange button. If we want to do the ungroup button, we'd have to go back over to here and then select the item, do object edit, and ungroup it there. I didn't want us to go into that today. I wanted us just to work with it. So I ungrouped it for you. But yes, you can go in there and ungroup it. I'm going to leave that for a different class because I want to make sure we can get through this in a timely manner today. So again, here what we have, I'm going to have you do this with me. I'm going to take all the pieces off of here. I'm going to remove the plastic from my mat. I take it off and set it off to the side with the side that was down now up. So that way, if I have dust or lint or threads, you probably don't have any threads on your sewing work table. I do. And so we don't want to get that all on the mat before I put it back down here. Now I'm going to take the big pink piece that's going to be for the skirt. I'm going to put it down here at the bottom. Now I'm going to say this. Press this very lightly, okay? At least if my mat is almost new, and so I don't want to press that too tight. If yours is half worn out and it's not very tacky anymore, you may need to press it a little bit tighter than other people might, but that's what I would do. Now I'm going to take the white, and the white is harder to see on this mat, and so I'm going to put that in the lower right-hand corner. I said left hand. I'm getting back screwed up. I'm going to take my yellow. I'm going to put it in the top left. Nice little rollers. They come a brayer. I don't know why, because it doesn't bray it out in my mind. And now I'm going to take my little brown pieces, put them up here. This is for the sleeve, and I'm going to put them on here. And then I just lightly put them all down. Okay, so go ahead and you can lay it out. And the reason the only thing that's really important, it doesn't matter where you put these on here. The only part that's really important on here is I wanted this piece down here. I'm going to show you why in just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to take this back over to my machine. Go ahead and get this done. And I'm going to take it over to the machine, and we're going to load it and go from there. So let's switch over to the machine again. Now you won't be able to see too much here for the first little bit, but I make sure your mat, I'm going to see if I can scoot this back here. When you load your mat, you want this to be in, so you don't want it cockeyed like this. You see how it's an uneven line? You want it touching both sides evenly. And then you reach up to the top, and there's right underneath the home button, there's one that looks like a mat. And when you touch that, what it just did is it pulled it in, and it read the icons across the top of your mat to know what kind of mat this is what size it is, and does this fit on your machine. So now I'm going to go up to here, back to where we were. Okay, no questions yet. Very good. You know, I'm going to unhook this one so I can turn this a little easier. Okay. So now what I need to do is, where are all those fabric pieces that I put on the mat? Do I need to guess at where this is? No. This little icon is what it's going to scan in my mat background. So go ahead and touch that. And then it's going to say, scan the mat to show as background. Put the material scan on the mat and set it to the machine and press the start key. So I press the start. And then what it does is it feeds the whole way through. And it takes a picture of my mat. And it's going to show me where all those fabric pieces are. There we go. Now, some of these are really dark. I'm not sure what I can't see where all of you are at, obviously, but I want to go through a couple things here. These brown pieces show up almost as black, and I need to be able to see my shapes in order to cut them out. So I need to dim these down a little bit so that they're not quite so bold. And to do that, I go to my wrench here. These are, it's a wrench that looks like it's for changing settings. And this is my background, and currently it's really dark. I want to change it to kind of a medium, kind of a grayed out. And now look what it did for me. Now it has all the shapes there, all the colors there, but they're kind of muted. So I can see my outlines better of where I'm going. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. This is the skirt. So I'm going to drag this over and put this over here on the skirt piece. This is the apron. Now, I'm going to put that down here for right now. I can't hardly see it because that's white fabric on a white mat. How am I supposed to see that? Well, we're going to get to that in a little bit. I'm going to take my hat and put that up here. I'm going to take one of the sleeves and put that over on top of that piece. Here's the hand. If you want to cut the hand out, put it up there beside the hat. And you want to stay away from the edge a little bit. You want to try to avoid that knife going off the edge of your fabric and then back on, because that's where it can really, if your material is not quite stuck to the mat quite as well, it'll really rip it off there, and then it'll ruin that. And then this piece goes over here onto the pink, and then the boot comes up onto that brown piece. Okay. Welcome, Becky Myers. Sorry you got joined a little late. You will be able to go back and watch this video completely from the beginning. This video will actually be live on this YouTube channel. Well, actually, it'll be stored on this YouTube channel for at least the next month or so that you can go back and watch it again and again and again with the same link that I sent to you in the email. So if you're just getting started, you can join with us there. All right, now I still have my apron down here, my white apron. I need to have that, make sure that's on the fabric, but I can't see it because my white fabric on the white mat doesn't show up. So I'm going to go back to the wrench and turn it on the background so it's really dark with the way it was in the beginning. And now I can see where my lines are that were covered up by the fabric. So you can see that the fabric line, the dotted lines stop here and they stop over here. And so I am good to go right there. Okay. I'm just going to pause here for a little bit. Does anyone need me to go over anything here real quick again? Because we're going to get ready to start cutting here in just a second. If you need me to go over something or you have a question, speak up real quickly. Otherwise, I'm going to keep motoring on. Cutting fabric is really easy. It's just that it's scary because if we don't know how to prep our fabric or we don't know how to do these things, it can be nervous. Okay, no one's leaving any comments right now, so I'm going to go over. So now we're going to have all these things positioned. I'm going to go back and turn it down to a grayscale again, just because I want us to be able to see something else here in just a minute. So I changed my background. I went into the gear wrench, and I changed my background to be the grayscale. And now I'm going to click OK. Okay, so I can't get my bow to go lengthwise, so it will fit on my piece. Suzanne, you can't get your bow. You mean the band up on the top? That is supposed to be on that pink 2-inch square, and it should fit in that any way without having to be rotated at all. Okay, Cindy said, how do you change the background from light to dark? That is done with this little, go back here, that's done under this little wrench here. And then it gives you your options, your backgrounds. And this is the really bright, dark background. This is the grayscale, or this is where you could turn it completely off if you wanted to. We don't want to do that. So that's how you would change that there. All right. Okay, so Suzanne, the question you had there is that this little bow that you said this one, you can't turn that to get on your pink material. It should be big enough, unless did you create this from your own pattern, or did you get it from the one that I sent? Because it should be the one that I sent, should fit in there. If you need to rotate this for whatever reason, you can go in to make sure that's selected, so you have the red box around it, and then you can go into the edit button. For the rest of you that are fine, don't go ahead, don't do this, but you can watch this. You go into the edit button, and then you go into object edit, and there is a rotate button right up here in the top right that enables you to change this by degrees. It's this rotate button right here, and you could rotate that 1 degree, 10 degrees, or 90 degrees to get it to fit onto that piece. Okay, and then you would just click OK and go back out, the whole way back out to this page. Oh, so the question that Beverly had I didn't get my kit today. How can I cut the fabric without the stabilizer? You can do that if you want to. You're going to need to convert that mat into a permanent fabric mat, and it may or may not cut quite as cleanly as it does when it has the fusible web on the backing. Because generally when we're cutting fabric without fusible web, you need to starch it with like a Material Magic. I think I have some here. Nope, my staff took it up front to the front of the store. So so you want to do something so it stiffens the fabric up. It makes it a little easier for that knife to drag across it and cut it. And you can do that, but then you'll have to use this. You'll have to use this material here, this high tack adhesive fabric sheet. You should have gotten 2 of these with your machine, 1 or 2 of these with your machine, and you can put that down on top of the mat. Put the shiny side down, and get all the bubbles out, and that will enable you to convert that into a high tack sheet. Okay, so Jacqueline said, when I have the design pulled up, I just have the back arrow. Okay is grayed out. Do I have a mat loaded? Let's see here. You have to have a mat loaded before we go to the next page. Someone said, how do I get to the add edit screen? Okay, so I'm going to show you again. This is the main screen where we bring a design in from. Like if I wanted to add something here, I could click add. I'm going to go retrieve data because it's saved to a USB stick. This is the same way we went into beginning. Go into the USB stick, and there's my pattern. When I click that, again, it brings me to this screen, And I'm wondering if is this what you're seeing here, Jacqueline, that you're seeing just this design? Because this is where you would have to press OK to put it on the mat. I don't want to do that because I have everything all set up already. So we're just going to X out and go back to the screen. I may have to, if some of you are having troubles with that, I may have to go over this again at the end. I want to keep moving here so we don't have to tie up the video too long here. So for the rest of you that are ready, just for Jacqueline and Beverly, if you want to just follow along here. And when we get to the end, then I'll go back over and I'll spend some time at the end going over some of these details again here. So for the rest of us, we have our designs all positioned on top of the fabric that we scanned in using our background scanning button. Now we're going to press OK. And when we get to this screen, it says, please select what do you want to do. Now, if you have one of the entry-level scan and cuts, like the 350 or the 550 or one of the first machines that they came out with, yours may not have that setting, which reminds me, I need to go get that knife to show you folks how to do that. Bear with me a second here. So what you're going to need to make sure that you do is you're going to, there should be a setting right there where it says cut. I need to get my little knife here so I can show you how to adjust that blade setting. And you know what? This is one thing I've gotten so used to my automatic blade, I forgot that I'm going to have to show you how to do that. So bear with me a real quick second here. I have to get a sheet up here. Now, how many of you took my class a few weeks ago, and I showed you a sheet of paper, and I'm actually going to pull it up on the screen here so as you can see this. Let's see here. Because I need to show you how many of you are using the a scan and cut that is not a DX model, one that has automatic knife settings. How many of you are using that? I know I have one. Let's see here. Okay. I'm trying to find my sheet here real quickly. And of course, when you try and do it real quickly, it never shows up. It's never where you're looking for it. Nope. Okay, bear with me a second. I have to find it. I scanned it in at a high resolution so that I could give it to those of you who are my customers. And for some reason, it is not on my computer where I thought it should be. So, okay. Here we go. Here we go. I apologize for this. This is taking a little longer than what I had thought. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we have the 650, the 650Ws, the 350. Those are all the manual blades, and so I'm glad I have this because I want to show you how this works. Because setting the proper let's see here, setting the proper blade depth is really important for that. And we're going to go into here. Okay, so here's what I want to do is I want to share my screen. And so I want you to see this. Can you see this on my screen now? This is, nope. There we go. Now, can you see it on my screen? This is the piece of paper that I can mail you if you want me to leave a message for me, and I can email it to you, or you can reply back to the email I sent out on Monday, and I can send this to you as well. But this is a very handy sheet. It actually came with your machines, but it was oftentimes hidden in there, and they didn't see this. So this is what we're looking at here. This is where we're going to set your blade. It says thin cotton fabric for quilt piece, 25 millimeter or less. That's what we're going to be working with, just thin cotton. That's fine. And it says you want your standard mat. And this is if you don't have the fusible web on the back of it. You want your standard cut blade. That's the turquoise or the teal colored one. And then over here it says the blade scale setting should be set at 4, and your cut pressure should be set at 4. So I'm going to switch over here, go back to my main screen. I'm going to switch. Oh, no. Now, so this is the blade here that you're going to want to use. And so I want you to be able to take your blade, and I want you to keep turning it so that the numbers keep going up the whole way till you get past the 12 and it hits a stop. And then I want you to back it out to 4. Okay? So do that for me. And then I want you to, then you're going to take it over to the machine and put it back in the machine. Okay? That's how you set your blade there. Now we're going to do a test cut, and it might take us a little bit here, but that's what you need to be doing to get up to this place. For those of you who have the DX model, you want this one. It's the thin cut blade with the kind of a tan colored top on it. You can use the other blade. It doesn't work quite as well. This one tends to work a little better. And now I need to select on the DX models, I need to select that I'm ready to cut. And there's a lot of different options in here on these models, what you can do with it. We want to do cut. Now, this is where there's a lot of settings that take place. Now, on your 650 models and your 350 models, there should be a wrench here. And it's either here or it may be out on the plastic somewhere around here that you can touch, because you're going to need to go in and adjust your tensions or adjust your pressures and things like that for the rest of you. For those of you who are working with the DX system, I still want you to go in here because I want you to see where these adjustments are made. So touch the gear wrench or the gear, the wrench, gear wrench. And there's a couple things that you need to understand here is the cut pressure. Now, I had to turn mine up a little bit. Again, I think my blade is getting a little bit dull. But some of you who have the DX, yours might say auto here. And these first two are the only ones that are really important, except if some of you with the DX model, if you go down a page, you're going to see this half cut. Make sure that is turned off, okay? You don't want to have just a half cut. You want that to be turned completely off. And then we want the cut pressure. Just leave it set at auto for right now. I have mine set at 2 because I know where it's at. For those of you with the manual blade, you're going to want to set that to a 4 because that's what that cheat sheet had said there. Remember that you need to so you need to set that at 4 in order for it to work properly. Let's take that back off of there. Okay. Any questions? Jerry, you said you have a cutter that's black. Do you not have one that is tan? You can use the black one. It may tend to to drag the fabric a little more and maybe not make quite as clean of a cut, because the blade is more of a sharp angle, not a slanted angle. And so you can use that one, but the tan colored one was designed for the fabric. Okay, once you've made the adjustments in here that you need to, click OK. And then I want you to press this test button. Now you should all have that. And what it does is it gives you a little triangle. Now I take that back. Refresh my memory. Some of you have Cindy asked, her cut speed was set at 5. I should change it to 4. If you want to change it to 4, yes, that might be a good idea to do so. Your cut speed, excuse me, change the cut speed to 4. It just makes it a little bit slower, and it gives it a little bit more time for the knife to cut, and it doesn't want to yank the fabric there. Okay, so the test cut for the 350, you may have to add that manually. This is a little difficult because there's a lot of different models out there. If you have the 350 and it does not have the option of adding a test cut here, I'm going to ask you to wait for a little bit, and I will walk through that in a little bit while some of the others might be cutting. So what it's doing is it's adding a little triangle here. Now that triangle is designed to allow you to cut a little square first to see once if it's going to cut properly before it goes and tries cutting everything else. The reason I wanted this pink in the bottom corner is because I want to take that. Oh, that's right. For some reason, they changed that, unless I'm not getting on the top of it. Yeah, there we go. I want you to take and drag that little triangle over into the top left corner of this fabric. See, I gave you a bunch of extra fabric because I wanted you to have some places where you could test cut that. And I want you to put over there. And the way the test cut works is that it will actually try to cut that first. And if it doesn't work, it backs off and lets you change the settings before you cut something else. If it cuts it fine, and then you say, yes, it cut it just fine, it will go on to the rest of it. Okay, so once you get that little triangle dragged over to the corner, I want you to press start. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to move this back so that you get to see what's happening. Okay, so it's a little, I'm going to pull this back here. The reason I wanted you to do it at the bottom here, because sometimes if it's right up close to the top, it's hard to see and hard to test this to see if this is going to be okay. What you need to do is go right where that little piece was and use your little pick or tweezers or something and pull it off. And did it cut through everything well? Did it cut a nice, clean, and crisp? Or did it have a raggedy edge to it, where it didn't cut quite the whole way through? And if it didn't cut the whole way through, then you need to press up on this one. You're going to press either cancel or test again. Okay? And that's where you would make those adjustments. Now, mine adjusted just fine, but I want to wait to hear from you. Do any of you have to make any adjustments? If you got kind of a ragged cut, or it didn't cut through quite the whole way, see, I'll show you the difference here. Let's see if you can see this on here. Let me get a little darker, something I can put behind here. There we go. So this was my first test cut last night. And you can see it's really ragged around these edges here, and it didn't cut it very well at all. And so I increased my pressure to 2, and then I got a nice, crisp, clean cut. I don't know if you can see that on there very well or not, but that's what we're looking for. That's what we're trying to figure out what we want to change there. So yeah, so we have one that said it did not cut through properly. So in that case, what you're going to do is you're going to press test again. And now here's your wrench again, and this is where you can change it to change your cut pressure. Like I raised mine to 2. You know, if it almost cut through perfectly, but just not quite, well, maybe you can take it to 1. If you had some big gaps where it didn't even quite cut it completely, then you can maybe take it up 2 notches. Every machine and every blade is a little bit different. So don't feel bad if you got to change one thing or another. And so change that to wherever you need to be. But now you need to move that triangle. You don't want to cut it the same place again. So I usually use these arrows here. This is where you can move that. Notice that it still is highlighted red. So now I'm just going to take it. I'm going to move that over just a little bit to the right to make sure I'm completely out of it. And then press OK. And then I'm going to press Start again. If those of you who had a clean cut, just hang tight. Don't do anything yet. I'm just working through this for those who haven't. All right. So again, now I'm back here to my mat, and I'm going to just, of course, mine I didn't change anything on it, but I have. Boy, it's really hard to see that on this fabric. It cut it so nice and clean. There we go. It's hard to see it. Okay. Now, everything cut well, so I'm going to say, go ahead and start. And what it will do is it will now cut all of these pieces in one shot. And it'll go and cut through. For those of you who have the older 350, that did not, I don't think that had the place where you could add the test cut to it right here. Now, you may want to update your software. They may have put that in there since then, but what you would have to do is back at the page where we scanned in all the background and where you could see where to put all the pieces, you would have had a button there that says Add. And if you press Add, and then go back, it'll take you back to the home page, and there's going to be right across the top, there's going to be a button that says Test. And that is the button that you would press and select a triangle, select the size, and then you would be able to add that to your worksheet and put that wherever you wanted it to be. The unfortunate part about that is that you have to cut that first, cut that all by itself. You can't, it's not the 1-2 step like we have here. Okay, so now everything, I'm going to unload the mat. I'm going to go back to the other screen, and we're going to take this off and look at how we would assemble this. Okay? All right. Okay. So can you all see that on there okay? So now at this point, what I'm going to do is I usually use my pick or the little spatula, and you want to kind of make sure you get underneath it, and then I pull the outside pieces away first and set them off to the side, and then I use my spatula and I make sure I get completely underneath the fabric and the adhesive. And it's very important that you do that, because sometimes if your adhesive is not well stuck fast, it will want to lift the fabric off of it. So it's very important that you get that both on there. Now I had a little problem here on my one shoe. Apparently I had a bubble that it did not stick to, and so thus it didn't want to cut it very well. But if I give it a little tug, it comes right off, or you could actually take it with the scissors. So it didn't want to cut that one quite as well. And then here I have my sleeve. I have noticed there is a difference between fabrics. Some fabrics tend to cut really nice and cleanly, others don't. And I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe my blade is just getting dull. I don't know. I've been doing too much of stuff and not enough time paying attention to what's. So then here I have my little hat band. And Having it adhered securely to the material, to the mat is very important. And see, if you notice here, I think I'm going to have to replace my knife blade because it really got ragged around this edge. I don't like that, but that should be nice and crisp and clean, but that didn't come up there. And so I think I'm going to have to replace my blade. Oh, I need my apron down here in the corner yet. It was white. It was hiding. And that came through just fine down here. Okay, now, first thing you want to do as soon as you get all your pieces off, if you're not going to be cutting something out again right away, I'd like to clean off all. I'm going to get all my little snippets off of here. And then I take now I'm going to do this upside down for you, but it makes it easier for me. If you have the DX mats, I take my finger and I pinch it right between the holes that's cut out there. And then I can just line it up and let it fall flat and just roll that off there. And that gets all the air bubbles out. And it makes it so that my mat stays as tacky as possible and doesn't dry out on me. Now, I would take my and here's, you have to kind of look at building this from the bottom up. Like I would take my shoe and I would tuck it underneath there so that I don't have that showing up anywhere there. I take the white and line that up there. I don't want the hand on this because it's such a tiny little hand. And I would put that there. And I would take my pink little ribbon. And this is sometimes if you have a little iron close by, you can kind of just tack these in place as you do them. But then I would take this over to my heat press and I would fuse it down and everything would be all done in one shot and it would all be permanently bonded together very well. And again, you can turn this 90 degree or turn it on point or things like that. But there you have a Sunbonnet Sioux all cut out. And again, you can do the same thing. You can do it with other color fabrics. You can change it up however you wanted. But yeah, that's where I would, this is where heat presses are not that expensive. I'm going to just show you this one here. This is one that we started carrying. I'm going to crank this up just a little bit so you can. So yeah, this is a nice little heat press. Back up here. And it has a little dial on the top of it that you can set it to exactly to the right temperature. You know, like I usually do these ones for like 300 degrees for about 6 seconds to get it all fused. And this is red when you can't do it. It's green when it's good to go. You swing this out of the way, and then you can actually position everything where you want it to be. It's not on right now. Come back, and then just slowly clamp it down and hit the timer, and it'll count down. I have it set for 11 seconds when we were doing heat transfer vinyl, and it'll go however long it is, and then it'll tell you, it'll start beeping. There, you might be able to hear that, maybe not. Sounds like an alarm clock, and you bring that up and pop it out of the way, and it would all be done for you. So a heat press is a huge, if you're going to start doing applique and doing a lot of things like this, they're not that expensive. These ones we sell for, I believe, $250, and they really work well. They're nice and light, and you can easily put them up in a closet or something if you don't want to store it out on your countertop for you. Okay. Okay, so a couple questions here. What's the best way to get the adhesive from the fabric off of the mat? So are you talking about the adhesive? Let me go back up here. Are you talking about the Fusible that was on the back of it, that it got stuck to the mat? There is not really a good way to take that off. That's why when you have a brand new mat, you just barely touch it and you don't want to do too much of that. Otherwise, you don't want to press it too hard and you don't want to leave it there too long, because then it can really bond to the mat, and then it becomes very hard to get off. So you kind of just want to gently on there. As far as taking it off completely, I have not found a way to do that. That's why I wanted to send the Fusible stuff along with you, because as long as you don't push it down real hard, it works beautifully for that. If you cut without fabric, if you cut without Fusible, without adhesive, that is a way of making sure that that doesn't happen. But then you also have to use those special mats. So she has had a few little pieces of the adhesive come off. And what you can do is, if you have one of those nice little metal spatulas, I have found that works to scrape it better than the plastic one. This is the little plastic one that comes with your machine, but the metal one is better. We do have a set of tools that have a pick, which is really handy. It has the spatula, it has a scraper for getting all the air bubbles out, and it also has an extra stylus, like you saw me using for the machine. And it has a tweezers, not these tweezers. I like the tweezers they have better than these, but I'm just too cheap to open up another packet because I don't know where my other ones are at right now. But they're handy for getting things placed exactly where you want them, especially when you're working around with an iron or things like that. They're very handy. All comes in a nice little kit. This normally sells for $49.99. If you let me know, I only have one of them left right now. I will sell them for $40 to those of you through this weekend. If you want us to mail you one, just mention your order number from this class. Like when you got the email from registering, you can respond back and say, hey, I like that order sheet or that toolkit. And Jay said that I can get $10 off, and I will do that. The other thing that's really handy is this. This is a if you ever go to a class or you want to be taking your machines with you, this is a very handy little. It's called a duffel, and we have luggage that is handy for this, but the luggage is like $125, and it is kind of spendy. It's very nice because it stores your mats in it as well, but oh yeah, good, Cindy, you got it off with a metal scraper. But this just sits right inside of it very easily and zips up, and it's ready to go. And it's also a nice way of keeping the dust off of it in your closet if you don't use it all that often. Okay. So, what did you think? I'm going to switch back over here to my other screen. So what did you think? It's a very simple project, but it's fun to do. And are there things that you want me to go over with? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay on here a little bit. This is probably where I would be trimming it off, and this is all the farther it would stay up on YouTube. But if there's other questions you have, I'll certainly do my best to try and fill in. It's a little hard, being as there's about 14 different models of Scan and Cut. There's basically two generations. You have the generation of the manual blade, and you have the generation with the DX. And so that's where it was a little hard for me to do both of them all at the same time. I am going to be doing this class again, or doing these types of classes again. I want to do a class with vinyl for doing wall words. I just got done doing let me see if I can show you here real quickly. I just got done doing a clock for our family at home, and I'll show it to you here real quickly. I have a large family, and I'm going to show that to you here real quickly. And we're going to change this. Stop screen share. Let's go over here. Chrome tab. We're going to go into this one, and we're going to share that. So this is I have 11 children, and what I did is I cut these letters out of vinyl, and I made my own wall words that I'm able to put up on the wall. And then because I have 11 children, my wife and I are number 12. My firstborn's in the number 1. My 11th child is number 11. And so we can have something fun. This is where using your scan and cut to create lettering and stuff like this is very easily done. It's not that hard at all, but it does give us a new venue for doing things. Like my wife, we're changing things out on the walls, because she likes to doesn't like to see the same thing over and over again. And so we change things around and do things like that. I would like to be teaching a class on that. I would like to do a class on the roll feeder attachment. Those of you with the DX, if you bought the DX from a dealer, you should have a roll feeder attachment. If you bought your DX machine from us, we have all your roll feeder attachments here. So they were sent a long time afterwards. And when we moved over to the new store, I found this box with all of these roll feeder attachments going, oh no, how do we get these to people? So if you bought your machine directly from us, let me know and we'll get your roll feeder attachment to you. Okay, so pay attention to our Facebook page, and I'm probably going to be trying to put up a project here. Again, if there's something that you want me to teach, leave a comment of a certain technique or material. I saw someone saying about cork. No problem. What I can do is I'll try and find some cork coasters or some designs. Maybe I'll teach you a little bit of scan and cut canvas, and you can learn how to design your own cork coaster for at home. And we can do that project here in about probably about 3 weeks. We'll probably be about 3 weeks yet until we'll do that. But maybe cork fabric will be another one. Another question I would ask for you is, my thought is, if I can keep the cost for this class down, say in the $5 to $10 category, and then have you buy the materials, that would eliminate some of these shipping problems that we had for today. So keep that in mind and let me know in the comments as well. Do you want me to be mailing the materials out, or would you be just as happy for me to give you a list of materials for you to have on your own, and so that you can get them for me? Okay. Any other questions? I'm okay with buying my own materials in the boonies. If I can get supplies of Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby does have some of that stuff. Brother just came out with some cork fabric, and I'm waiting for the doorbell because we have a whole freighter truck with like 3 pallets of stuff coming today. And so I'm hoping that shows up. There's some really neat cork fabric. Stay tuned to our Facebook page or to our page here, and we'll give you some previews of some of that stuff there. And roll feeder, people are liking that idea. Okay, that is it. Are there any other questions? The roll feeder attachment, someone's wondering what that's for. That enables you that if you have a DX machine, you can actually hook it up to the front of your scan and cut, and you can cut out material that is vinyl, just at this point it's just adhesive vinyl that you can cut out up to 9.5 inches wide by 72 inches long. So wall words and things like that are much easier, and there's a whole bunch of patterns for that available. Brother just came out with a vinyl cutting knife, and they have in both just a vinyl cutting knife, which I think is like $60 for the kit there, or it's $100 if you want the vinyl cutter knife with the Disney package, which has a whole bunch of Disney designs that are all designed specifically for the vinyl cutter. So that is something that we will be having out as well. I'll probably be doing a little something on Facebook. I can't give a lot of prices out on Facebook on some of those things. You are my customers. You have purchased from me, and so I can give that prices to you here. Okay. Well, I think that's going to be it for today. I thank you so much for your attention. Please, if you have some feedback for me, drop me an email, drop me a message on Facebook or something like that. Or you can also message our YouTube channel. If you have suggestions for what I can do better and do differently, that'd be great. But thank you for your attention and for sticking with us through the entire show. Take care. Talk to you later. God bless.